7. People are making like $7 million music videos.
Right.
And a lot of them are shooting in Manhattan, and I worked on a lot of those. And that kind of was a continuing education. I got to see production firsthand and be a grunt.
Right.
Kept auditioning, not much happening. And then my very first job I get as an actor is in the Public Theater in Manhattan's production of Macbeth with Angela Bassett, Alec Baldwin, Liev Schreiber, Michael C. Hall.
That's crazy.
Yeah, George C. Wolfe directing, huge theater director.
I've interviewed him.
Oh, yeah, of course. He's a legend. And so that was my first job. And I had really gotten a lot out of Shakespeare in college. I had a professor that really opened my eyes to Shakespeare. So I had a great audition for George. And my first job was playing the 2 young characters in Macbeth. And I had a giant broadsword duel with Alec Baldwin. And it was thrilling.
Well, what was your experience at that? How old were you? 20?
I must have been right out of college, 21.
21, and you're dealing with Alec, and you're dealing with these huge actors. What? Yeah. Was it overwhelming?
Yeah. Alec was scary. Alec's a scary fucking dude.
Yeah.
He was always nice to me, but he was very intimidating.
Right. But but to be operating at that level at that age, you're really in it. At that point, you must have thought, like, well, acting's pretty good.
First of all, I'd never been paid. I mean, I'd been paid a little bit for the kid things I'd done, but this was like, I was fresh out of college and doing PA rate, which was like $100 a day.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, even though it was theater, it was equity, it was like a weekly check. My self-esteem shot up because I was like, not only am I in a play, but I'm getting a regular check for acting. This is cool.
Yeah.
And, Liev Schreiber is, inarguably, I think, the best American Shakespearean actor. Alec was great, don't get me wrong, but I think even he would say watching Liev play Banquo in the show was like grad school.
Yeah.
Because he's just a phenomenal, phenomenal Shakespearean actor. That was one of the coolest things I took from it, just getting to watch. I learned so much from watching him and Michael C. Hall, obviously. Then I started to get a little traction. I did a little indie called Getting to Know You. Then I did a film called The Broken Hearts Club, Greg Berlanti's first feature film.
Uh-huh.
It was about a bunch of gay friends living in West Hollywood. And by this point, I'd followed a girl out to L.A., which was a debacle, and I was waiting tables at a French-Vietnamese restaurant called Le Colonial.
I remember that place.
Yes, it's now, if you know where the Leica store is.
It's over like Beverly Hills, right? It's over on...
Do you know where there's a giant Leica store that's Beverly and Robertson.
Yeah.
That used to be it.
Yeah, I remember it, yeah.
And I wore a beige tunic, and I was waiting tables there, and I was in Broken Hearts Club, which was out at the Sunset 5, and people
So you had moved out here?
I had moved out here. I followed the girl out here, but in my mind, it was kind of like, even if it doesn't work out with the girl, I'm starting to get momentum. I got 2 indies under my belt. Like, I got to start making some moves. But I got out here and was broke. So waiting tables, like all broke actors do. And but my film, the indie Broken Hearts Club, was at the Sunset 5, and people would come from the movie theater, having seen the film, to the restaurant for drinks or dessert, and they do a double take, and they say, we just saw your movie. And I'd say, oh, thank you. And they say, you were great. And I'd say, well, thank you. Let me tell you about our specials. We have and it was so incredibly humbling.
Yeah.
And I always say that, only in Hollywood can you go see a film and then have the star of the film wait on you for dessert.
Sure.
And it was in this time where I first auditioned for Scrubs. And that of course changed my life. I didn't make Garden State my first feature until I think the second hiatus from Scrubs.
Oh yeah, you were in. It's so funny that that whole waiter story. There's a comic named Marc Cohen, used to do a joke about living in Hollywood, and his parents came out to visit him. They'd be out to dinner, and his mom would say, like, I think that waiter is Potsy from Happy Days. And Marc Cohen goes, no, that can't be Potsy. Oh my God, it is Potsy.
That's true. I mean, I would have the most humiliating things, Mark, where I would like go on a meeting, and a general meeting where I'm just talking to a producer and I'm blowing myself up because I'm talking about all the great things that are going on. And I can't believe it. It's so exciting. You're just fucking doing a dog and pony show. And then I'd go to work and I'd look and they'd be like, I just sat table 25, and it would be him and his friends. I'd be and then it's awkward. He doesn't want to address it, so he gives a little smile, but I'm like pouring wine for him and his friends after 2 hours earlier doing a general about how great my life is.
Oh, it's the worst. And it's like, but you made it. Like,
yeah,
I remember
the
one
story
time,
has a happy ending. Yeah, I mean,
I remember I had a fucking meeting with somebody. I don't know if it wasn't the Four Seasons. It was another hotel, and this was like like maybe 10 years ago, or less. And fucking Sebastian Maniscalco is waiting tables over there, and I knew he was a comic, but I didn't know he had that day gig. And now he's like one of the biggest comics in the world. So sometimes it ends okay.
Yeah, there's plenty of happy endings. But
I remember that moment of seeing him and knowing that, this is just fucking hell.
I know so many, listen, there's plenty of people who don't have a happy ending to that tale. And I'm very aware of how lucky I am that I it's not for the faint of heart, this
fucking
this
hard
town.
business. Yeah. So, all right, but Scrubs turns everything around. It's a hit show, and you do it forever. But mostly, if what you're saying is true, and I'm not doubting you, that it gave you the wherewithal and the momentum to make a movie, which is what you wanted.
So the first thing that because of my hustler, I'm gonna fucking make it or die trying mentality, I went, oh my God, this show is going to be my ticket to having people take my screenplay seriously. Yeah. So I had the screenplay in pieces, but I put it all together. I really sat down once I got Scrubs and took it seriously and said, "You're a fucking idiot if you don't have a screenplay, because this is momentum." I didn't know how long Scrubs was going to go.
Went on forever, didn't it?
Well, I did 9 years, yeah. But I mean, but who the hell ever thinks that's going to happen? I mean, it was unrealistic. I thought it could go 2. I got to ride the wave. So then my first hiatus, I did Shakespeare in the Park in New York, a production of Twelfth Night. And then whilst I was there, I wrote Natalie Portman a letter because I knew that she had done the Delacorte Theater. She had done a production of The Seagull. And I thought, God, Natalie is my perfect person for this film. I'm going to use this angle of we've both been worked in this theater. I wrote her this very personal note, sent her the script. She loved it. We met for coffee, and then she said yes, which meant my second hiatus, we were off to the races making the movie. And there's some other people that went on to pretty big careers in the movie too. Yeah, Peter Sarsgaard and Ian Holm, who just passed away. I know Ian was the best. Wonderful man. Oh my God! I bet. I just watched The Sweet Hereafter again. Jeez. Oh, that's how I discovered him. Yeah, I mean that's how he became known to me. That movie is insane. So dark. Do you like tragedy like that? I really love a good tragedy. Well, yeah. I mean, it's like I don't know how I saw it. I just saw it that how'd they get that? They must have had one take on that school bus shot. How many times could they? Sometimes you just got to roll 5 cameras on it and hope something good happens. I mean, they couldn't rebuild. They couldn't get the ice back up in that lake. There's no fucking way, man. It's like Buster Keaton in The General. They're only blowing that bridge once. But I'm really in. It's funny. People think of me, I think, a lot of for comedy because of Scrubs, or romantic comedy because of Garden State. But I'm very often drawn to writing and appreciating darker fare. The thing I'm writing now is a pretty dark tragedy. Really? Maybe it's because of all the. I mean, not maybe. It's what's coming out of me. I think that it's what's. I once had an amazing singer write a song for my film, and it wasn't exactly right. And I tried to give him some notes, and he said, "Zach, I got to be honest with you. It's just in this day and age, in this moment, after watching your film, that's what came out of me." And I've been feeling that with this thing I've been writing, is that it's kind of what came out of me during this period. Well, it's good that you're able to generate at all. I'm trying. It takes work getting my ass in the. It takes work and ass getting my ass in the chair. I mean, I've talked to other writers who I have one friend who's a big shot, and it's like he's having a hard time. I mean, it's hard to reflect because we're still in the trauma. Right. But for me, I feel like I gotta do it because I can't. allow myself the distraction of not working on it because there's just so much time for me to be sitting here and staring at the cursor.
So you beat yourself up?
I do. I'm very hard on myself. Yeah, because I don't want for this to. I am a writer, but it's hard for me to write. I find it to be the hardest of the things.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's very hard. Lawrence Kasdan apparently once said, being a writer is signing up to have homework for the rest of your life. And that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I feel like I always have homework.
But you brought, Garden State together. You pulled it, you found your backers. And the movie did well. It was a personal movie. Like it was great. And I remember the soundtrack was huge.
Yeah. I won a Grammy.
Yeah. It's great. And then you just kept going with that TV show. Did that get to a point where you'd had enough of that?
Yeah. Yeah. I loved it.
Right.
In fact, I loved it. And Donald Faison, who was my co-star, and we actually are doing a podcast now called Fake Doctors, Real Friends, because I
just saw him in a movie.
Remember the Titans or Clueless?
No, a new movie with, I don't think it's out yet, with Dorff.
Oh, yeah. He's got a new film with Stephen Dorff coming out.
I just watched it. Dorff sent it to me. It's called Embattled, I think.
Was it good?
He plays, I liked it. He plays a vet.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's my best friend in the world. And so we kind of like during quarantine and everything said, well, we have a lot of free time on our hands. Let's go back and watch the episodes and talk about them and joke about them and kind of tell old stories. So we've been doing that, and it's reminding me of how much fun it was and all the nostalgia. But of course, after 9 years, I was definitely over it because I just felt like I started to see us all recycling jokes and leaning into jokes, and it's hard because the money is ridiculously intoxicating. But I felt like I want to do other things.
But you did do another movie, and you did other things.
Yeah, I've directed 3 features.
2 of them were yours?
2 of them I'd written. One called "Wish I Was Here" I wrote with my brother Adam.
And how'd you finance that?
Oh, you Gewalt. That one I got in a bit of a pickle because someone presented me the idea of trying to crowdfund like half of it.
Uh-huh.
And this was right at the beginning of Kickstarter being on everyone's radar. And I said, okay, that's kind of cool. Like, what if we did that? What if we didn't have a studio and I put in my own money and we get a financier to put in a little bit of money, but then like half the money comes from promising these incentives, set visits and T-shirts and merch and posters and signed everything. And it became very controversial. I think I was the first known actor director to do it. And it was so successful. It funded beyond what we asked for in 24 hours. Right. That there was instant backlash saying you as a known entity shouldn't be using this. Right. This should be for people who have no other means. And it became, I unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, became the face of the debate. Should people who have fan bases be allowed to participate in crowdfunding campaigns?
And where did that land?
Well, I think after people weighed in enough, nobody really does it. I was on the cover of Variety, being like, "Is this the new wave of financing?" And not many people, I think, have ever done it since because of the amount of antagonism there was for the very idea. Which then hurt the film, I think, because I think that people judge the film as like, oh, that's that half crowdfunded movie. Wow. And it was a bit of a bummer because I really am proud of the film, but not a lot of people saw it.
Well, I'm sorry, buddy. And
it's okay. It was years ago.
So, and then the one you directed after that, Going in Style.
So then I got hired. Then I had my first big studio come to me and be like, "Hey, we loved that movie and we loved Garden State. Do you ever think about directing like a big ass studio movie?" And I was like, "Go on." And it was a remake of a George Burns movie called Going in Style, and it was Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, and Alan Arkin starring as 3 seniors who rob a bank.
Well, I remember the original. I remember, you know what I remember the most out of that movie?
What?
is that medium shot of Strasberg having the heart attack